Welcome to Oklahoma Memo. My name is Ryan Welton, the founder and curator of the Oklahoma Memo newsletter. It's a daily local news recap that you can get in your inbox Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Please sign up at oklahomamemo.com. We've expanded what we're doing to include podcasts, or as I like to call them, having smart conversations with newsmakers in the community. And today I am joined by Audra Plummer. Did I get that name right? Just want to make sure.
That is correct.
Yeah, 100
Yep.
100%. I hear Plummer. There was a quarterback way back in the day named Jake Plummer, so I always
Yes.
remember that. So, we're talking about online school. Audra, you are head of schools, that title correct?
Mhm.
With the
Correct.
Oklahoma Virtual Charter Academy. Online school, look, post-pandemic, I'm a big believer in doing anything online, but you can and when it's appropriate. But for the sake of this conversation, because education can be something that stirs passions in people, let's just get an education 101 about what OVCA is. So let Audra start at the beginning. What is OVCA? How did you get involved?
Right. OVCA was founded in 2011. It's a virtual public online 100% charter school. So we were doing virtual school before the pandemic. Were founded in 2011. And what our students are, they're public school students, just like if you were going to a brick and mortar. It's a statewide. We have Oklahoma certified teachers. So all of our teachers live in Oklahoma and they're all highly qualified in the content and grade levels that they teach. Our students do all the activities that they could in a brick and mortar, such as 4-H, book clubs. We have outings in person. So even though our content is 100% online, we do have socialization activities around our communities so that they can still see people in their peers and people in their communities that might be going to our school. We're getting prepared for our winter blast where we have it at ice skating rinks in Oklahoma City and Tulsa, where we have lots of different activities and ice skating, and it's just a fun time to socialize. So our school has been around. We're about 4,300 students this year, kindergarten through 12th grade, and we're just a choice for students who may not be able to find success in their current brick and mortar community setting. But we're free and online. We're not affiliated with any religion or private school. We're a public school that anybody who lives in Oklahoma could enroll in.
You answered my next question, the association and affiliation with like partisan politics or religion. Not that there's anything wrong with either, but people are going to want to know this. And as I was doing a little research about OVCA, I see that wasn't this founded in like 2011? It's been around a while. Who started it, and what was the impetus? What was the somebody had a brainchild here?
Right. There was a group of about 4 to 5 parents who, in 2011, were not finding what they needed for their students and their communities, but they didn't all live in the same community, and I can't remember how they knew each other, but maybe a church or some community group, but they weren't all in the same city where that would be like, "Let's just start a new brick and mortar school." So they started doing their research to find virtual school and what it looked like, and so K-12 is a virtual, curriculum company and online provider, and that's who they found, and they researched and did some partnerships, and that's where they really took off with K-12 because was an established. I think the first, K-12 school might have been in 2007, 2008, so it's 25 years. So what would that be? 2020. So or 2000? 2000. Yeah, so it had been around for, like, 10 years, but not in the state of Oklahoma, and so they really worked with that with K-12 to create this charter, um, and we're, authorized by the state charter school board. So that's who holds the charter and reviews to make sure the things that we're doing are aligned with school-wide state expectations. But it was really developed by a group of parents who were really looking for another option for their students. It started as an elementary school, and every year we added a high school. So we've been having high school for since 2011 for sure.
Mhm. So it's now its own thing. It's well beyond those 4 or 5
Yes,
parents, and this is
that's right.
fully accredited by the state, up and up. I saw something about, students who aspired to be college athletes or could
Yes.
even what's that about?
Yeah. Yeah, so we're even NCAA approved. So if you wanted to be a student, an outstanding college player in golf or tennis, we would be an opportunity for you. A lot of our high performing athletes do want to be part of our school because we have a little bit more flexibility so that they can go on tournaments and things and not be out of school because we have some flexibility that we have a process where they can be, in Texas completing a few lessons while they're finishing that. When I first came on, I came on as a teacher and I had a group of highly competitive gymnasts. And so they would school in the morning and they would do their practice in the afternoon. And we would work through their benchmarks and things before the height of gymnastic season started. And so they would have a few days and we'd do a couple of things during the height of competition that keeps them compliant with all the things that are required of public school students. But they were able to have that flexibility that maybe they would have had in a brick and mortar. So it was really exciting to see some of those high performing students. We don't have necessarily the opportunity for team sports. That is one of the things that our parents are constantly asking their legislators for, is to be allowed to participate in team sports. But right now it'd be golf, swimming, bowling, those individuals. We also have students who participate in 4-H in their counties, so they're eligible to do all those things in their counties and earn awards. And we even have a few FFA chapters that are partnering with us, and so students can excel in FFA as well. But one of the great things about being a public student, and you probably know this, is just the Oklahoma career tech schools that we have, and all of our students are able to participate in those because they live in Oklahoma, and that's part of the program of public schools. So we have students who are working in the Putman City Career Tech, Atoka Career Tech, going on to be beauticians, nurses, all those programs. They do attend those in person, but that is something that is an opportunity for our students as well as being an online student.
I am, like many Oklahomans, much more educated about what career tech is because of Lyndall Fields coming into his role as state superintendent. And by the way, of course, Mike Rowe and all the commercials and all of the
Mhm.
discussion we're having now about the importance of people becoming electricians and plumbers and cosmetologists and things like that, making very good livings doing that. But you mentioned bowling before, and I thought there are going to be people out there who say, bowling? What do you mean bowling at the NCAA level? Let me tell you something. I've looked this up. Did you know that the University of Nebraska has an amazing bowling program? They've been national champions multiple times. Bowling's a real deal in terms of a college sport, so do not scoff.
Yes, that's
Anybody,
right.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
and we even have, archery. That's one of our kids who is working on a national level is archery, because we're doing the whole state, and so that's one of the things that really makes our school unique is that we're getting to see what's happening in Southeast Oklahoma and Northwest Oklahoma, the whole gambit, and they're really being able to share with their peers. Our middle school is set up in kind of what a middle school model is, where you have a first hour, second hour, third hour. Even though there's some flexibility, we still have expectations for our students to master state standards. But we've taken that and divided our middle school up into a team A and a team B. And if you live in team A, you're on the west side of I-35. If you live on team B, you live on the east side, so that our students see the same kids in their first hour, their second hour, their third hour. So they really begin to have friendships. And over our time in the last 5 years since COVID, our middle school has really prospered. And middle school is kind of a hard time for students because they're in those teenage years and they're not really sure who they're going to be and what they want to do. But our middle school in this team A and having a structured schedule, our students are really thriving. They've had middle school dances. They have all sorts of different things that has really developed because these students have made friends. And some of our students in middle school perhaps didn't have a lot of friends in their brick and mortar, and that's why they were looking for something. So the parents are just so excited to see that spark back in their middle school students and their desire to go out and meet with their friends and go to the zoo and do our winter blast, just do different activities, fall festivals. And so it's a real resurgent for our families when they see that students have their life back.
a mix of digital and real life. I know at the start of the digital era, I've always been in digital, but I'm also kind of an extrovert when I'm among people. But people would say those online friends aren't your real friends. I'm like, au contraire. I've known a lot of the people that I've been friends with over the years strictly online for 2 decades now. We're actual friends, but socialization is a huge part of it. Just out of curiosity for myself, rural versus urban or the city, do you have a lot of folks in, like, super small towns, Guyman, the Panhandle?
We do have a few. I think at one time, I haven't looked at our numbers for this year, but at one time or over our time, I will say, we've had students in every 77 counties, because there's just that one off that they're not finding that situation that they need. And sometimes small towns are the most looking for because they only have one public school option and their student needs something else. And the great thing about the statewide is we're able to provide a foreign language, some of the art appreciation, some of the things that sometimes small schools can't staff just because of their boundaries and their limits that they're set upon. And so these students get to do more and see more. And then urban, we have a great urban population. Oklahoma City, Tulsa, and Lawton are probably our biggest urban areas. We do have a focus. We're a Purple Star school, which means we really focus on military. And that's one of the advantages of our boards partnering with K-12 is K-12 has schools in other states. So when our military families move to Texas or to Colorado, we try to connect them with another school like us. So it's that seamless kind of connection. And so they're not feeling they're restarting in a whole new community because they're already kind of know some of our platforms. So it's helping our students have some of that familiarity when they're moving, but just helping them have as well as social. One thing I was going to say that I zipped around and forgot was we have what we call a K-12 zone, which is like a virtual playground where our teachers have designed, classrooms and activities. We even have the state fair for our kids to participate who participate in 4-H. And the children today are really socializing in a virtual setting more than sometimes we think about in person, but we still practice those in-person skills when we do our outings. But they do connect virtually in this virtual and they'll go around and do a scavenger hunt. And so it's really I tell teachers and, people that I meet, it's like it's their world now. Like, it's not necessarily my comfort zone as somebody who graduated years ago, but our students these days, they're totally connecting, creating their avatar, making their friends, and participating in this K-12 zone. So it's a great opportunity for our students to kind of learn how to navigate the digital world, how to be a positive citizen in the digital world, which our future generation's gonna have to know how to do. So we're
You've
kind of forging that.
Do you and the your fellow your colleagues, fellow teachers, do you find yourself learning as much from these students as they are from you?
Yes, and they're so much faster at it. We're like, "Wait a minute, how did you just click that button?" So yes, they are super or could we do it this way? And that's the great thing about this space is that we're letting them learn and help us as well. This year, we implemented a new kind of learning platform that was more adaptable for our students, Canvas, which colleges use, so it's kind of that lifelong learning. We teach them how to use it in 6th grade, and they can use it all the way through their college. But so many of our students are like, "Oh, yeah, I use this here, and I use this," and they're like, "Can we make this?" And they're doing things, and you're like, "Wait, slow down, show us how to do it." So, definitely, the kids are right there on it, and we have, fine arts, so we do, like, art, we have a music class, and that's one of the things that COVID opened the door for is because there were concerts, right? They had pianists in one Zoom room and a violinist in another Zoom room. There were lots of things, and so we already knew we wanted that, and so when the world was like, "Oh, yeah, you can totally do that virtually," we're like, "Yes," and so been able to add some things because COVID was definitely a positive for the virtual learning because everyone realized you could do it.
So you can't see it here, but I have a piano right here just sitting next to me. So you're saying that there are students who are able to learn instruments virtually?
So, it's one of our programs that they can choose. It's a different kind of piece because they have to provide their own instruments, but we give them the opportunities and the resources. That's also one of the things that like, we have, like, a coffee shop kind of, they call it coffee shop, and the kids will come in and they'll sing a song or play an instrument or do those kinds of things, but then try to also share with them their community bands, that they might be able to participate because you wanna connect students with each other in person as well as virtual, so we try to give them opportunities to practice that as well.
Are you familiar with there was I don't know if it's still around, it was called Second Life back in the day, kind of a virtual place. And for musicians, you could go out there and play at venues and you would have an avatar. Now, I know this is real life, but you could actually there is, nothing is original here. And so it feels like there are a lot of lessons that OVCA has picked up from other things that have been developed. And one of the things that fascinates me as I hear you, Audra, talking about this is that this isn't cookie cutter. You have military families. You have folks who are doing gymnastics and sports and travel ball. You probably have an actor or a singer here or there who is having to travel a lot. So, how much of this curricula is custom? Like, you have to customize it for the student.
Yeah. So we have different pathways that we put students on, but our basis is those state standards. So we have to keep that as the basis. So we have to make sure they're learning what they're supposed to learn in 5th grade or geometry of those pieces. But where we're able to be a little bit more flexible is during the time of day or the expectations for the week or the month. So we're able to personalize it. And one of the things we also have special education students, students who are diversified learners, and we're able to kind of cut it down and what makes our program probably a little bit more special and why our teachers stay is because we're able to really individualize it for you, Ryan, and we're not having to entertain the other 25 kids that are in the class and try to figure it out. And the other 25 kids in the class don't know what I'm specializing for Ryan. So you really get to have an individualized program and gain your confidence without anyone knowing that you're the largest 8th grader in the whole school. Like you're getting a program that's helping you close the gaps for that piece. And you're helping we have one of the things that makes our school unique that other schools do not have is we have a student support team. So we took the state of Oklahoma and divided it up into about 20 sections, and we have community family advisors that live in that area of the students, and they stay with the students through their whole journey at OVCA. So they have that one constant school liaison that stays with them and knows their story. So when you go from 5th grade to 6th grade in the middle school, it's a new platform. You're going into a structured schedule. There might be some anxiousness, but you know you have that CFA who's been with you in your 3rd grade and your 4th grade. They know your story and they tell it to the teachers. So you have that person in your community who would also maybe drop food if you need it, helps you with those personal resources that you might need, and also plans activities for you to do in that area because they live there because our state is very diverse. And so, what students love to do in Southwest Oklahoma, students don't necessarily love to do in Tulsa or even have the resources to do. So, they're very that specialized piece to help students interact with each other as well as what their interests are. And one of the key pieces that I think has really helped our families stay with us year over year is they have that insider knowledge. So, like, we have highly certified teachers, which means your geometry teacher might live in Tulsa and you live in Anadarko, and the tornado comes through and wipes out your electricity, and now we don't know where you are. But that CFA in the community that's a OVCA staff member will be like, "Yep, Anadarko to Lawton doesn't have electricity," and we can personalize, "Okay, we're not gonna give these assignments, we're gonna send this material to them." We're gonna be able to really see them as a person and a family. So I think that piece of just knowing our students and making them real for everyone is what keeps students coming and why people join our school.
I have to admit, in just the 16, 17 minutes that we've talked, um, I've learned a lot. Like, I think there are probably misconceptions that I had about online school. I mean, during the pandemic, a lot of us who had students who were having to do school online. And by the way, I should tell you, you see the OU flag behind me. I got my master's at Arizona State. It was all online, but it was not personalized. It was through Canvas. It was just sort of a blanket program.
Mhm.
But I had misconceptions. What are some of the misconceptions you run across, not only about online education, but maybe specifically about OVCA?
Well, I think when people hear virtual school, they think a student sits at the computer at 8 o'clock and just sits there and watches the TV screen all the way till 3 o'clock, and that's what schooling looks like. And our school has lots more than just virtual lessons. We send material, so an elementary student's gonna get manipulatives, king, a balance, they're gonna get a microscope, they might get paints, and so our lessons are very interactive. So even though you and I are in a class with a teacher who's teaching us virtually, she might be doing a shape lesson and she'll be like, okay, go around your house and find a prism and a cylinder and a cube. And they come back with that. And so that we do active pieces of learning. We're not just sitting there having them put things. I mean, that's like the Khan Academy videos. Like, that's not what our school is. Our school is interaction where people know your name and where people are going to want you to get better and encourage you and find out what your interests are. So that's one of the misconceptions I think is that they're just sitting there. The other thing is that OVCA is a whole family affair. Our parents are called learning coaches, and we partner with them. So we know that parents are a vital piece of a student's learning and their environment. So we really talk to our parents to make sure the lessons that we're doing are appropriate for what they would like for their students to learn. There are so many differences now in what literature is, different pieces. So if a family doesn't want a student to read Charlotte's Web, then we might change it and say, okay, what would you rather do to learn these objectives? So we're really working and partnering with parents. And I think sometimes parents in schools get offended or feel like they're being a bad parent. And we really try to work with parents and help them become stronger parents or really understand what behaviors are causing this in their home learning environments. So it's just really working together as a team is really our approach and helping because that way all students will learn and they'll continue to learn.
From the parent's perspective, it makes them feel like they have agency. They've got, they have under the previous administration, there was a lot of talk about parental control, but every parent's different, every family's different, and the reason for maybe opting for an online education could be different for various families. I wanted to ask you, you mentioned middle school's a tough time. It's the worst time for a lot of kids, and high school is tough also. Talk about, if you would, counseling and student support services and the role that those play within OVCA.
So, student support is one of the pieces of our school. And so that involves we have a counselor, we have a student or counselors for each school, we have students, family coordinators, and then we have a social worker. So, we have really trained our team of signs to look for when you're working with virtual students and when their cameras are on. There's still ways that you can see. We also have a contract with school security officers. And so if there's something that we're thinking is a little bit off, our school security officer can drive by and check on a student. So we're really looking at those pieces and we have sessions. We use 7 mindsets, which is kind of a curriculum about doing your best, thinking your best, having confidence. And so we have different activities that support that. And so kind of like triggers or things that we look for that maybe adds additional support. We have our counselors do small group. All of our incoming freshmen have a assigned counselor with them that talks to them about what do they want to be at the end of 4 years? Do they want to go to career tech? Do they want to go to college, or do they just want to be employed? And what can we do to help them get to those pieces? Because that's one of the things I think sometimes as educators, we think all students should go to college, and that's not what all students are meant to be or want to be. So we're really looking at what do you want to do and what do you need to get there? In Southeast Oklahoma, there was a student who all he wanted to do was drive the logging trucks. So we had to make sure he could read well enough to drive the logging trucks to pass all the pieces of that piece. There are some who want to just work at the Dollar General store in their area. That's great. So we want to make sure they understand how to manage people. We have student council. We just have various leadership opportunities for our students. We have peers that are high school students that work with our elementary students and listen to them read. We try to do all those life skills so that we're preparing students for the life that they're going to live beyond high school.
Another example, the examples you mentioned there, Audra, about the customization that could be brought into this. And I was going to ask you about success stories, but success looks different for different students. And no, not everybody is meant to go to college. I'm actually starting to become a big believer in the gap year. Like take a year and think about, what it is you want to do. But are there a couple of real success stories? They could be however you would define success on behalf of OVCA.
There are some great stories. There are several that come to mind. So even though we're a virtual school, I think relationships is key. And so we still have what we call homeless students, McKinney-Vento students that don't have a definite home. And we had a high school student who was just couch surfing from one home to the next home to the next home. And she really bonded with her CFA. And in the course of her 2 years with us, she became pregnant, and we helped her with young mothering classes in her area. And we helped her still graduate and get that first job, all because of that relationship she had with the CFA. And she constantly says, I wouldn't have made it without that one person. And I think that's one of The positives of our school is when you're in high school, there are so many things happening to you, especially in today's world with high school. And we have a high, like 70% of our high school students stay with us from ninth through 12th grade
Mm.
because once they find that connection and they see how they drive the bus of their high school year, they love it. And so they are able to do jobs in career tech. When students graduate, we have an in-person graduation in the Oklahoma City area, and as I shake their hands, I ask them, like, "What are you gonna do next? You know, where are you headed?" And so many of them were finishing their degrees at Tulsa Tech that they started. We had a huge number of nurses, and I was like, "That's awesome because that's what we're going into." And then we had a group of boys, and they were all over the state, so it wasn't like it was just Durant high school boys that are headed off to work in the oil field. And so it's just, like, different things that they have, and we've had so many, elementary students who parents are like, I didn't know this is what my kid could be so happy because there's just so many pressures of what's happening in high school or in elementary school that they just get it's just so much and until you take them out of them and just really make it personalized, you don't see how they're going to flourish. But we had a student this year, she's a senior. She made a perfect score on her ACT. And we have a robotics club and she helps start it. And then we've been national winners. They've gone to Puerto Rico to do in person. So they start off virtual, and then we have in person events where they practice in person and off they go. So it's really teaching them what is your passion. And she's a great speaker because she's like, I didn't even know I liked robotics. Like, I've always been good at math, but I didn't know I loved robotics and I love it. And so she's like, she's teaching our next generation. So our ninth graders that are coming up, she's like, here's how to make it work. And so it's just things like that. Like, I think there's just success of just little things of kids finding their passion as well as students graduating who thought that they couldn't.
Well, the individual care that's being given in an online environment with happiness as the currency. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Success is so individual. So, online school's not for everybody, but for those it might be for, what is the process? Do you have to enroll like you would any other school? If I'm a parent of a student who might want to do online, how do they get started?
All right, so you're gonna go to ovcak12.com, or you can just put Oklahoma Virtual Charter Academy, and it'll pop up as the first thing, and you're gonna do enrollment just like you would in a brick and mortar. You're gonna show your proof of residency in Oklahoma, you're gonna show your immunizations, you're gonna do all those pieces just like you would, and we have an enrollment specialist who will contact you. Your community family advisor will welcome you to school, and we'll do orientation. That's the other key piece that I think was a struggle for schools who went home at spring break and came back in COVID and they were virtual schools and they didn't have the resources. We have like an orientation week where we're helping parents and students learn how to use the platforms, learn how to get the equipment and make sure that they're ready to school. And then we start the curriculum with the set schedule and all the pieces, but we want to set you up for success. And so that's how you do it. You just Google Oklahoma Virtual Charter Academy and will pop up and it'll walk you step by step through and somebody will reach out to you and finalize your enrollment. So it's really easy.
Now, I know the answer to this, but just to make sure that we have it on video, how much does it cost?
It's completely free. We're a public school, so your tax dollars help pay for our school just like you would in Tulsa or Oklahoma City. So it's completely free, not affiliated with anything, and welcome, tuition free. Welcome you all of anyone can join.
Audra Plummer, head of schools with the Oklahoma Virtual Charter Academy. I have to peek over here at my notes, make sure I get that right. I'll make sure and have all of the links in the show notes everywhere that you can find this and make sure to direct folks to you. I'll even put an email address if that's okay in there for people to
Yeah,
reach out
that'd be
for you
great.
to.
Yes, I'd
Again,
love to.
for those of you just stumbling upon this video, I hope you enjoyed it. My name is Ryan. I'm the curator of Oklahoma Memo. I have a daily local news recap. It comes out Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Hope you'll sign up at oklahomamemo.com. This, as soon as I can get it edited, will be on our YouTube channel. It'll be everywhere you can get podcasts, and it will be on oklahomamemo.com. Audra, thank you so much for your time.
Well, thank you for making time for us. I love sharing about Oklahoma Virtual Charter Academy.